Welcome to Whispers of the Night. You've found a quiet place where the world slows down and gentle stories carry you toward rest. Tonight's journey is called The Forgotten Symphony of the Sunken City, a tale of memory, music, and peaceful endings hidden beneath the sea. Settle in comfortably, allowing the day to drift away as softly as the tide at dawn. If this channel brings you calm, comfort, or sleep, remember to subscribe to Whispers of the Night. Your support helps these stories continue night after night for those seeking rest and stillness. You can also gently like this story or leave a quiet comment, helping others discover this peaceful space. Now, let the lights dim. Let the outside world fade, and allow this story to guide you gently into the night. The sea is calm now, smooth as glass beneath the first light of morning. The sky stretches wide and pale, touched with soft gold and quiet blue. Everything feels unhurried, as if time itself has chosen to rest beside you. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of this peaceful shore. The water moves slowly, steady, and patient, reflecting the sky like a mirror. Each wave arrives without effort, and each wave retreats without leaving anything behind. The air feels cool and clean, filled with the gentle rhythm of the ocean. Nothing is asking for your attention. Nothing needs to be solved or remembered. Beneath the surface, far below the quiet water, the sunken city rests. Its streets are still, its towers calm, its music complete. There is no longing left in its stones, no echo searching for release. Everything has settled exactly where it belongs. You sense a deep harmony here, not loud or overwhelming, but steady and reassuring. It flows through the water, through the light, and through you. The past no longer calls. The future does not hurry. Only this peaceful moment remains. Allow your thoughts to soften like ripples fading across the sea. If memories appear, let them pass gently, just as waves move across the shore. If silence arrives, welcome it without expectation. The ocean holds its calm. The sky brightens slowly, and within this stillness, your body and mind are free to rest, carried by a story that has found its ending. The Forgotten Symphony of the Sunken City. The city beneath the tides. Twilight settled gently over the coastal cliffs, the sky painted in layered hues of violet, ash blue, and fading gold. Mist drifted in slow, wandering ribbons, curling around jagged stone and softening the edges of the world as if the land itself were slipping into a dream. Far below, the sea stretched endlessly, its surface calm yet watchful, reflecting the dimming light like a sheet of darkened glass. The waves touched the base of the cliffs with a patient rhythm, neither hurried nor forceful, as though they were keeping time for something unseen. Aurelia stood near the edge, her cloak drawn close against the cool salt air. She had walked this cliff many times before, memorizing its worn paths and wind-shaped grasses, yet tonight felt different. The familiar landscape seemed quietly altered, as if it were holding a secret it had never shared with her until now. The mist thickened around her ankles, dampening her boots and the scent of the sea brimstone, and something ancient hung heavy in the air. Then she heard it at first. It was so faint she thought it might be the wind passing through the rocks below. A low hum drifted upward from the depths, subtle and resonant, vibrating softly through the stillness. It was not a sound that demanded attention, but one that invited it, threading itself gently through the silence. Aurelia stilled, her breath catching as she listened more closely. The hum carried a musical quality, not quite a melody, but shaped by intention, like the opening note of a song waiting to be remembered. The sound seemed to rise from beneath. The water itself, Aurelia's heart quickened, though she could not have said why. She had grown up with the stories, as everyone along the coast had. Tales whispered by elders beside dim hearth fires, half dismissed by the young yet never fully forgotten. They spoke of a city that once stood where the sea now ruled a place, of white stone towers and echoing halls, renowned for its music and devotion to the arts. According to legend, the city had fallen in a single night, swallowed whole by the ocean after a great calamity. Some said it was punishment, others claimed it was sacrifice, but all agreed on one thing: the city's final symphony was never completed. And now, standing on the cliff as dusk deepened into night, Aurelia wondered if that unfinished song was calling to her. The hum pulsed again, slightly stronger this time, weaving itself into the hush of the evening. It did not echo like ordinary sound. Instead, it seemed to linger, stretching outward, brushing against her thoughts with delicate insistence. Aurelia felt an inexplicable pull, a sense that the sound was not merely reaching her ears, but recognizing her presence, as though it had been waiting. She turned her gaze toward the horizon, where the sea met the sky in a blurred line of silver gray. The mist shifted, opening momentarily to reveal a darker patch of water far below. It shimmered faintly, not with reflected light, but with something deeper, as if shadows moved beneath the surface in slow, deliberate patterns. Aurelia's hands tightened at her sides. Reason told her to step back, to dismiss the sound as a trick of weather and memory. Yet her feet remained rooted to the stone. The legends she had once considered little more than poetic warnings now felt alive, stirring with renewed purpose. She remembered an old fisherman's voice, rough with age, murmuring that the sea never truly forgets what it takes. The hum shifted again, resolving into something closer to a sequence notes, layered carefully, each one placed with care. It was beautiful in a restrained way, tinged with longing rather than triumph. Aurelia felt her chest ache with it, though she could not have explained why. She had no memory of the city, no inherited songs passed down through her family. Yet the music stirred something intimate, as if it were brushing against a memory she had never lived. She stepped closer to the edge of the cliff. Below, the waves parted briefly, revealing a suggestion of shape beneath the surface, arches or columns, perhaps, glimpsed only for a heartbeat before the water closed over them once more. Aurelia's pulse thundered in her ears. The hum rose slightly, no longer distant, but nearer now, like a whisper carried upward through layers of water and stone. A strange calm settled over her fear. The sound did not threaten or warn. It beckoned. The village behind her lay quiet, its lights dim and scattered, unaware of what stirred beneath the tides. Aurelia thought of the life she knew, the predictable rhythm of days shaped by weather and work, by tides and seasons. It was a life she had never hated, yet never fully claimed as her own. She had always felt as though she were waiting for something unnamed, something just beyond the edge of ordinary days. Now, standing between land and sea, she wondered if this was what she had been waiting for. The mist thickened again, swirling upward as if responding to her thoughts. The hum deepened, gaining clarity, and within it, Aurelia began to sense emotion, sorrow, intertwined with hope, loss braided with endurance. This was no random echo. It was a message carried across centuries, preserved by water and time. She turned and followed the narrow path that wound downward along the cliffside, her steps cautious yet steady. The sound guided her, growing subtly stronger as she descended. Rocks glistened with moisture, and small pools reflected fragments of the darkening sky. With each step, the world above seemed to recede, replaced by the quiet authority of the sea below. At the base of the cliff, the shore opened into a narrow stretch of dark sand and smooth stone. The tide was unusually low, exposing formations that were rarely seen. The hum now surrounded her, no longer a distant call, but a presence that seemed to rise from the ground beneath her feet. Aurelia paused, her gaze sweeping the shoreline until it settled on a shallow inlet where the water glowed faintly, illuminated by an inner light that pulsed in time with the sound. Her reflection wavered on the surface, fractured by gentle ripples. For a moment, she hesitated, the weight of uncertainty pressing in. Yet alongside it came a certainty just as strong. Whatever lay beneath the water was tied to her now, bound by the simple act of listening. The legends had never spoken of who might hear the city's song again, or what would happen if someone did. Perhaps no one had truly listened before. Perhaps the city had waited for someone willing to hear it, not as a warning, but as a story still being told. Aurelia knelt at the edge of the inlet, reaching out until her fingers brushed the water. It was cool, but not harsh, and as her skin met the surface, the hum surged with quiet recognition. Images flickered at the edges of her mind-stone streets, bathed in lamplight. Figures gathered in vast halls, music spiraling upward toward painted ceilings before being cut short by a sudden, terrible silence. Her hand trembled, but she did not pull away. The sea before her was no longer just water. It was a threshold. Somewhere beneath the surface, the Forgotten City waited, its final symphony suspended in time. And Aurelia, drawn by curiosity and gentle mystery, felt the first unmistakable step of her journey settle into place. She did not yet know how deep the path would take her, or what the song would ask in return. She only knew that the sound had found her, and she could no longer turn away. As night fully claimed, the sky and the stars emerged, faint and distant. The sea continued its quiet rhythm. The hum lingered, steady and patient, carrying with it the promise of a story, unfinished, one that was beginning at last to rise from beneath the tides. echoes through coral streets. The moment Aurelia crossed the threshold of the glowing inlet, the sea no longer felt like an obstacle. The water folded around her with an unexpected gentleness, cool and weightless, as though it recognized her presence and chose not to resist it. There was no violent rush, no struggle for breath. Instead, the world shifted quietly, and the surface above her drifted farther away, becoming a rippling mirror that soon dissolved into soft darkness. Light emerged from below. At first, it was faint, delicate pinpricks scattered through the deep, but as Aurelia descended, the glow strengthened, revealing a vast expanse beneath the water. Stone pathways stretched outward in elegant curves, their surfaces worn smooth by time, yet unmistakably shaped by hands long gone. Columns rose in broken intervals, their tops crowned with living coral that shimmered in hues of turquoise, lavender, and pale gold. Bioluminescent growth traced the edges of arches and doorways, outlining the bones of a city that refused to vanish entirely. Aurelia's feet touched stone. She stood upright upon a submerged street, the ground solid beneath her, as if gravity itself had adjusted to welcome her into this forgotten place. The silence was profound, yet not empty. It carried a presence, a held breath spanning centuries. As she took her first step forward, a soft tone resonated through the water, clear, bell-like, and brief. Aurelia froze, her heart fluttering in surprise. The sound faded, leaving behind a delicate vibration that lingered against her skin. She tried again, placing her foot carefully upon the glowing path. Another tone answered, slightly different this time, lower and warmer. The street itself seemed to respond, as though it remembered the rhythm of footsteps, the daily passage of lives that once filled it. Aurelia realized then that the city was not merely submerged, it was listening. Wonder washed over her, quiet and expansive. Every movement released a whisper of sound, each step unlocking a fragment of melody stored within stone and coral. Together, the tones formed no complete song, but rather a scattered harmony, echoes of music once woven into the fabric of the city itself. She moved forward slowly, turning in place as she took in her doorways opened into shadowed interiors, where faint light pulsed gently, revealing glimpses of collapsed staircases and empty chambers. Shell-like formations clung to walls etched with symbols she could not read, but somehow felt she understood. The coral growth did not obscure the structures. It embraced them, threading through cracks and arches as if preserving what remained. Above her, long banners of kelp drifted lazily, brushing against towers that leaned at graceful angles, unbroken despite the centuries. Fish glided through open windows and along colonnades, their scales catching the glow and scattering it like fragments of starlight. They moved without fear, weaving around Aurelia as though she were simply another part of the city's slow pulse. She followed the central pathway, guided by a gentle incline that led deeper into the heart of the ruins. With each step, the music grew richer. Some notes rang high and crystalline, others hummed low and resonant, vibrating through her bones. Aurelia began to sense patterns emerging repeated sequences, hidden within the tones, like phrases waiting to be assembled. This was not random sound. It was memory given voice. As she passed beneath a half-collapsed archway, A sudden swell of light illuminated a wide plaza ahead. At its center stood a circular platform, cracked but intact, surrounded by stone seats arranged in careful symmetry. Coral traced the outlines of the seats, glowing more brightly here, as if the place itself held greater significance. Aurelia stepped onto the plaza. The tones released by her movement shifted instantly, blending together in a way that felt deliberate. A chord formed, lingering longer than the others, before fading into silence. The water around her seemed to tremble, not violently, but with recognition. She realized she was standing in what must once have been a gathering place, a forum, perhaps, or a performance hall open to the sky. The city remembered its audience. Aurelia closed her eyes briefly, allowing the sensation to wash over her. Images rose, unbidden in her mind, figures moving through these streets, laughter echoing beneath arches, music spilling from open halls and drifting upward into the night air. She sensed joy here and devotion, but also an undercurrent of urgency, as though the city had lived with the knowledge that its time was limited. When she opened her eyes, the glow around the plaza had intensified. Fine lines of light traced patterns along the stone, converging toward the center where she stood. The hum she had first heard upon the cliff now felt woven into the environment itself, no longer distant but surrounding her completely. Aurelia turned slowly, her gaze drawn down a narrower street branching off from the plaza. This path descended further, its stones darker, the coral glow more subdued yet more focused. The tones emanating from that direction were softer, more restrained, carrying a sense of reverence that made her chest tighten. She followed. The street wound between taller structures, their walls closer together, creating a corridor of light and shadow. Here, the music responded not only to her steps, but to her presence. When she paused, the tones softened, hovering just beyond hearing, as if waiting. When she moved again, they resumed, threading gently through the water. Aurelia began to understand that the peekaboo was not merely reacting, it was communicating in the only way it could. At the end of the street, she reached a broad stairway descending into darkness. Coral illuminated each step, the glow pulsing slowly, patiently. The air roar, what passed for air beneath the sea, felt heavier here, thick with significance. Aurelia hesitated, resting her hand against the stone wall beside her. It felt warm beneath her palm. The city was still alive, not in the way living cities were, bustling and changing, but in a deeper sense preserved through remembrance, sustained by the music embedded in its foundations. The realization filled her with awe, so quiet it bordered on reverence. She was not trespassing. She was being received with measured steps. She descended the staircase. Each footfall released a tone unlike any she had heard before, lower and more sustained, resonating through the stairwell and into the depths below. The melody fragments she had triggered above seemed to answer these deeper notes, forming a dialogue across levels of the city. Somewhere beneath her, something waited. As she reached the bottom of the stairs, the space opened into a vast avenue lined with towering statues, their faces softened by time and coral growth. Many held instruments carved from stone harps, flutes, and unfamiliar shapes whose purposes she could only guess. Their expressions were serene, their gazes lifted as if forever listening. Aurelia stood among them, small yet unafraid. The city's music surrounded her now, no longer fragmented, but slowly gathering coherence. The echoes through coral streets were aligning, responding to her presence, as though she were a missing note returning to its place. Wonder filled her, completely not loud or overwhelming, but steady and profound. She felt herself becoming part of the rhythm, her heartbeat subtly syncing with the city's pulse. Whatever fate had claimed this place centuries ago, it had not erased its voice. And as Aurelia continued forward through the glowing streets, she knew with quiet certainty that the Forgotten Symphony was beginning to remember itself, one step, one echo at a time. The Hall of Silent Instruments. The avenue of statues widened gradually, its glowing stones guiding Aurelia toward a structure that rose higher and broader than the rest. As she moved closer, the architecture shifted from streets and dwellings into something grander, more deliberate. Curved walls swept upward in layered arcs, their surfaces etched with patterns that resembled flowing water frozen in stone. The coral here glowed softly, not scattered as before, but arranged as if by design, tracing elegant lines that drew the eye inward. She had reached an amphitheater. Its entrance yawned, open like a patient mouth, framed by tall pillars wrapped in pale coral and drifting ribbons of seaweed. The glow from within was subdued, yet steady, casting long, gentle shadows that rippled with the movement of the water. Aurelia paused at the threshold, a quiet heaviness settling in her chest. The music that had accompanied her through the streets softened here, retreating into a low, reverent hush. She stepped inside. Rows of stone seating curved downward in a vast semicircle, descending toward a central stage that lay perfectly intact. Time had touched this place with care rather than destruction. Though softened by centuries beneath the sea, every line remained intentional, every proportion precise. The amphitheater felt preserved, as though the city itself had shielded it from ruin. At the center stood the instruments. They rested upon low platforms and carved stands, arranged with ceremonial symmetry. Harps arched gracefully, their frames sculpted from pearl that caught the bioluminescent light and scattered it in soft rainbows. Flutes lay cradled in stone grooves, their surfaces etched with delicate symbols and spiraling motifs. Drums fashioned from polished shell reflected the glow like still moons, while larger instruments, unfamiliar in form, rose like sculptural monuments, their purposes hinted at only by the curves and hollows shaped into them. They were all silent. Aurelia moved slowly along the front row, her gaze tracing each instrument with awe and restraint. None showed signs of decay beyond a gentle wear, as if they had simply been set down and left waiting. Coral had grown around their bases, but never over their playable surfaces, respecting boundaries no one had enforced for generations. Nostalgia settled over her, deep and unexpected. She had never been here before, yet the hall stirred a longing that felt intimate and old. The air, thick with water and light, seemed to carry echoes just beyond hearing, as if sound itself lingered in memory, unwilling to fade completely. Aurelia imagined the amphitheater filled with figures, their faces uplifted, their attention focused on the stage. She imagined anticipation, shared breath, the fragile moment before music begins, drawn by instinct rather than intention. She approached the nearest harp. Its strings were not metal, but something translucent, spun from a material that shimmered faintly even at rest. She hesitated, fingers hovering just above them. The reverence of the space pressed gently against her, urging care rather than fear. When she finally allowed her fingertips to brush the strings, the response was immediate. A note bloomed into the water. It was soft, luminous, and slow, expanding outward in a visible ripple of light and sound. The tone did not fade quickly. It lingered, wrapping itself around Aurelia like a memory unfolding. As it resonated, images stirred at the edges of her vision, figures gathered beneath open skies. Laughter carried on warm air, hands moving in practiced harmony across instruments much like this one. The vision shifted, the joy dimmed, replaced by urgency. Musicians leaned closer together, expressions focused, determined. The melody they played grew complex, layered with emotion that bordered on desperation. The sound carried not only beauty, but purpose. The note faded, and the images dissolved. Aurelia drew her hand back, her heart aching with a tenderness she could not name. She turned to another instrument, a flute carved from pale stone, streaked with veins of color. When she touched it, a different fragment awakened, higher in pitch, quicker in movement. This melody brought with it the image of children running through sunlit streets, music drifting from open windows, daily life woven seamlessly with art, each touch releasing a new echo of the past. Some melodies were bright and fleeting, filled with celebration and communal joy. Others were slow and heavy, carrying grief and quiet resolve. One instrument, larger than the rest and shaped like a spiral rising from the stage floor, released a tone so deep it seemed to vibrate through the amphitheater itself. With it came the image of the sea rising, walls trembling, musicians refusing to flee, choosing instead to play as water surged around them. Aurelia staggered back slightly, steadying herself against a stone railing. Her eyes burned, though no tears fell. The city's sorrow was not sharp. It was dignified, held with care and intention. These were not memories cast adrift at random. They were offerings, shared deliberately, as if the city wished to be known as it truly was, not only for its fall, but for its devotion to music until the very end. She realized then that the instruments were not merely tools. They were vessels. Each one held a fragment of the city's soul, preserved within sound and sensation. Together, they formed a vast archive of emotion, history encoded not in words or stone, but in melody. The city had trusted its music to endure when everything else could not. Aurelia stepped onto the central stage. The moment her foot touched its surface, a subtle shift rippled through the hall. The glow along the amphitheater walls brightened slightly, responding to her presence. She stood surrounded by silent instruments that were no longer truly silent, their echoes hovering patiently, waiting to be drawn forth. At the center of the stage lay a conductor's stand, simple yet elegant. Its surface was smooth, unmarred. Aurelia approached it slowly, her movements measured, reverent. When she placed her hand upon it, a gentle warmth spread beneath her palm. The fragments of melody she had awakened stirred together, overlapping softly in the water around her. They did not yet form a complete song, but they no longer felt scattered. The hall itself seemed to lean inward, listening. Aurelia lifted her gaze, meeting the empty seats, the drifting light, the patient instruments. She felt small within the vastness of the amphitheater, yet also strangely essential, as though her presence completed a long unfinished equation. She understood now that the city did not want to be remembered only as a legend or a loss. It wanted its story told through the language it knew best. And in this hall of silent instruments, surrounded by echoes of joy and sorrow, Aurelia felt the weight of that trust settled gently upon her. She stepped back from the stand, the melodies fading once more into quiet potential. The reverence of the space remained deepened by what had been revealed. As she turned toward the exit, the amphitheater's glow softened, returning to its patient vigil. Behind her, the instruments waited, and within Aurelia, the city's music lingered, nostalgic, sacred, and unfinished, guiding her onward toward whatever movement would come next in the Forgotten Symphony. The conductor without a voice, the path from the amphitheater rose upward through the heart of the city, winding between structures that grew taller and more solemn with every step. Aurelia moved slowly, guided not by sound alone now, but by a quiet certainty that had settled within her. The fragments of melody she carried felt heavier here, weighted with anticipation, as though they knew they were nearing something essential. Ahead, a tower emerged from the surrounding glow. It rose higher than any structure she had yet seen, slender and graceful, its stone surface wrapped in flowing bands of light that moved like liquid silk. Sea light cascaded around it in soft currents, illuminating the tower from within rather than without. The effect was otherworldly, as if the tower were not merely lit by the sea, but breathing it. Aurelia paused at its base. The music that had followed her through streets and halls grew subdued, retreating into a distant hum. In its place came a stillness, layered with melancholy, gentle yet profound. This was not the quiet of abandonment, but of something unfinished, held carefully across time. She ascended the tower's outer stair, which spiraled upward along the stone wall. With each step, the sea light brightened, revealing carvings etched deep into the tower's surface. They depicted figures standing before an unseen orchestra, arms raised in motion, faces intent and expressive. The figures grew fewer as she climbed, until finally there was only one, carved larger than the rest. His arms lifted as if suspended mid-gesture. The stair ended at an open chamber near the tower's crown. It was circular and vast, open on all sides, allowing the sea to drift freely through it. Curtains of light flowed past the arched openings, casting shifting patterns across the floor. At the center stood a solitary platform, and upon it a figure waited. He was translucent, formed of pale light and shadow, his outline steady, yet soft at the edges. His hair drifted gently around his face, moving as though stirred by currents only he could feel. He wore the suggestion of ceremonial robes, their folds indicated by faint lines of glow. His hands were raised, poised in the unmistakable posture of a conductor, yet utterly still. Aurelia's breath caught. She knew, without being told, who he was, the final conductor of the city. As she stepped closer, the figure turned toward her. His eyes held no fear, only a deep, lingering sorrow tempered by relief. When he opened his mouth, no sound emerged. His silence was complete, absolute, yet his presence spoke volumes. "I hear you," Aurelia said softly, though the words felt unnecessary. The conductor lowered his hands slightly, his expression shifting with gratitude. Slowly, he gestured around the chamber. The sea light responded, swirling inward, gathering between them. Within its glow, images began to form. The city as it once was. Aurelia saw the tower standing above the shoreline, its windows open to the night air. Music poured outward in luminous streams, weaving through streets and over rooftops. The conductor stood here, alive and solid, guiding the symphony with precise, graceful movements. The orchestra responded as one, their sound carrying joy, devotion, and unity. Then the images darkened. The sea rose violently, shattering the harmony. Stone cracked. Water surged through streets and halls. Yet the musicians did not scatter. They gathered here, in defiance of terror, determined to finish the symphony they had begun. The conductor's movements grew urgent, his gestures sharp with focus. The music swelled, reaching toward something vast and final. But the ending never came. The vision froze on a moment of unbearable tension. The conductor's arms raised. The orchestra poised on the brink of resolution. Then the water overtook them, extinguishing sound, sealing the final note forever. The images faded. The chamber returned to its quiet glow. The conductor stood before Aurelia once more, his gaze steady. Slowly, he pressed a hand to his chest, then extended it toward her. When his fingers touched the air between them, fragments of melody drifted outward, visible as threads of light. Aurelia felt them settle into her. Joining the echoes she already carried. Understanding blossomed with gentle clarity. He had been the keeper of the symphony's whole, the one who carried its structure, its intention. When the city fell, his voice, his guiding presence, had been silenced, leaving the music fractured and wandering. The city had endured, its memory preserved in stone and sound, but without its conductor, it could never reach rest. He could not finish it, but she could. Aurelia's chest tightened with the weight of his trust. She shook her head slightly, doubt rising unbidden. "I don't know how," she murmured. "I don't even know the ending." The conductor's expression softened. He raised one hand, palm upward, and the sea light gathered again, forming a single, sustained note. It was not loud, yet it resonated with profound depth. He placed his other hand over his throat, a silent acknowledgement of what he lacked, then gestured toward Aurelia's heart. The ending was not something to be remembered, it was something to be felt. The conductor stepped back, his form dimming slightly, though his presence remained strong. He lifted his hands once more, not to lead, but to entrust. Slowly, deliberately, he bowed to her. The gesture struck Aurelia deeper than any words could have. She bowed in return, her movements instinctive, reverent. When she straightened, the conductor's form began to dissolve, breaking into countless motes of light that drifted upward and outward. merging with the flowing sea light around the tower. His silence lingered, no longer heavy with sorrow, but eased by release. He was not gone, he was resting. The chamber felt different, now lighter, though still tinged with melancholy. The responsibility left behind settled gently upon Aurelia, not as a burden, but as a shared promise. She stood alone at the tower's crown, surrounded by the living glow of the sea, the city's unfinished song resonating quietly within her. She turned, slowly, taking in the view. Below her, the sunken city stretched outward, its streets glowing faintly, its structures standing patient and proud. She could feel the music embedded everywhere, waiting to be gathered, guided, completed. The city was no longer merely calling to her, it was listening. Aurelia placed her hand over her chest, grounding herself in the rhythm she felt there. The symphony's fragments stirred in response, aligning themselves with her heartbeat. For the first time since she had stepped into the sea, she understood that the journey ahead was not about restoring the past exactly as it had been. It was about honoring it, completing the melody. Did not mean erasing loss or undoing the city's fall. It meant giving shape to what remained joy and sorrow intertwined, ending not in triumph, but in peace. The sea light shifted, forming a gentle path downward from the tower, leading back toward the heart of the city. Aurelia followed it, her steps steady, her resolve quiet but firm. With each movement, the echoes within her grew clearer, less fragmented. The conductor's trust accompanied her, unspoken yet unwavering. As she descended, the tower behind her dimmed slightly, its purpose fulfilled. The city awaited her next movement, its ancient heart poised between memory and rest. And for the first time since the sea had claimed it, the Forgotten Symphony was no longer without a guide. When the ocean begins to listen, light came first as a suggestion. It slipped quietly through the upper reaches of the water, pale and diffused, threading its way downward in soft, widening beams. The city noticed before Aurelia did. Coral brightened. In response, its glow shifting subtly as sunlight filtered through layers of sea and time. Stone that had long reflected only bioluminescence now caught hints of gold, as though remembering what dawn once looked like above the surface. Aurelia stood at the edge of a wide avenue, her feet resting on stone smoothed by centuries of water and waiting. The city stretched out before her in gentle silence, its towers and arches outlined by the mingling of sea light and morning glow. She felt the symphony within her stirring, not urgently, not demandingly, but with quiet readiness. The ocean was waking. As the light strengthened, it revealed details once hidden in shadow, inscriptions along walls, patterns etched into streets, symbols carved into doorways that glimmered faintly as the sun touched them. Fish drifted more slowly now, lingering as if sensing a change in the water's rhythm. Even the currents softened, their movements less restless, more attentive. Aurelia took a single step forward. The stone answered with a tone, deeper and fuller than before, resonating outward like a foundation laid at last. The echoes did not scatter. They traveled, moving deliberately through the streets, slipping beneath arches, brushing past statues and columns. The city held them, shaping them, passing them onward. She closed her eyes. Within her, the fragments of melody she had gathered aligned with startling clarity. Joy and sorrow no longer felt separate. They flowed together, forming something whole, something honest. The symphony had never been meant to deny loss. It had been meant to carry it gently, to transform it into rest. Aurelia began to hum. The sound emerged softly at first, a single thread of tone woven from memory and intuition. It was not loud, nor was it hesitant. It carried certainty, born not of knowledge, but of trust. The moment her voice entered the water, the ocean shifted, currents slowed, then turned, spiraling gently around her. The hum traveled outward, catching in the coral, echoing against stone. Instruments long silent responded without being touched, releasing their stored fragments into the flow. Harps resonated faintly in distant halls. Drums murmured low and steady. Flutes released bright, fleeting notes that danced upward like bubbles. The city was singing again. Aurelia walked as she hummed, her steps measured, her voice steady. Each movement guided the melody onward, drawing it through streets and plazas, through doorways and gathering spaces. The ocean carried her sound effortlessly, amplifying it without distorting its shape. It did not overpower her voice. It listened. Sunlight reached deeper now, illuminating the upper tiers of the city in warm gradients. Towers gleamed softly, their surfaces reflecting both sea and sky. Shadows shifted, retreating from corners that had not known dawn in centuries. The glow was not sudden or blinding. It was patient, as though the sun itself understood the need for gentleness. As Aurelia passed through the plaza, where she had first felt the city's recognition, the melody broadened, the chord that formed. Here was rich and complete, sustained longer than any before. Stone seats vibrated subtly, releasing echoes of voices that had once filled them. The air shimmered with memory gatherings at twilight, shared anticipation, the collective hush before music began. She felt none of it as burden. Instead, a sense of release unfolded, quiet and profound. The city was not clinging to its past. It was offering it freely, letting it flow into the symphony's final movement. Aurelia reached the wide stairway, leading toward the amphitheater. She descended slowly, her humming deepening, enriched by the layers now joining it. When she stepped onto the stage, the instruments responded fully at last. Sound blossomed from every direction, not as noise, but as harmony carefully held. The amphitheater filled with light. Sunbeams pierced the open spaces above, scattering through the water in radiant columns. Pearl instruments caught the glow and refracted it outward, bathing the hall in gentle brilliance. Stone walls resonated, their carvings illuminated, their stories revealed without words. Aurelia moved to the center of the stage, where the conductor's stand waited. She did not touch it. She did not need to. The guidance she carried was no longer borrowed. It had become part of her own rhythm. She lifted her chin slightly, and her voice rose. The final notes emerged, not triumphant, not sorrowful, but balanced. They acknowledged all that had been lost and all that had endured. The melody did not rush toward its conclusion. It unfolded at its own pace, allowing each tone the space to be fully heard. The ocean responded. Waves far above shifted in gentle patterns, aligning with the symphony's flow. Currents deep below adjusted their paths, carrying the completed melody through every street, every stone, every memory embedded in the city's foundations. Even the distant seabed seemed to hum in resonance, the sound traveling farther than Aurelia could imagine. The city listened. Statues along the Grand Avenue seemed to soften, their carved expressions warmed by light and sound. Towers straightened subtly, their outlines clearer, their presence lighter. The heavy stillness that had once pressed upon the ruins dissolved, replaced by a calm that felt earned rather than imposed. As the final phrase approached, Aurelia felt the presence of the conductor beside her, not visible, not tangible, but unmistakable. His guidance did not direct her voice. It simply accompanied it, steady and trusting. Together, they allowed the melody to reach its natural close. The last note lingered. It did not end abruptly. It faded slowly, carried outward until it became indistinguishable from the ocean's own rhythm. Silence followed, but it was not empty. It was full, resonant, complete. Aurelia opened her eyes. The city glowed beneath the rising sun, fully illuminated now in soft gold and blue. The coral's bioluminescence dimmed gently, no longer needed, its work complete. Fish drifted lazily through streets and halls, unhurried, at ease. The water felt lighter around her, as though a long-held tension had finally been released. She felt it within herself as well. The echoes she had carried settled into quiet warmth, no longer seeking resolution. The symphony was whole. The city no longer needed to sing to be remembered. It had been heard. Aurelia turned slowly, taking in the city one last time. It would remain beneath the sea, its stones and streets preserved by water and time. But it was no longer restless. It was no longer waiting. The ocean moved on, carrying the completed symphony far beyond the ruins, weaving it into tides and currents, into distant shores and unseen depths. It would surface in whispers and dreams, in moments of inexplicable calm, in the feeling of harmony that arrives without explanation. Aurelia began to ascend. The path upward was gentle, guided by light and current alike. As she rose, the city receded, its glow softening but not fading. It remained present, anchored in peace rather than longing. When she broke the surface, the sun stood fully above the horizon, painting the sea in brilliant gold. The waves were calm, their rhythm steady and sure. Aurelia floated for a moment, listening. There was no hum rising from the depths now, only the ocean's own voice, complete and content. She smiled quietly and let herself drift toward shore, carrying with her the knowledge that some songs are not meant to be saved from silence but guided gently into it, so that both music and memory can finally rest together. The last note at dawn. The dawn unfolded in silence. The sea's surface remained calm and glass-like, reflecting a sky born of pale rose and gentle gold. Light crept over the horizon without fanfare, taking its time as though it understood the importance of quiet beginnings. The water lay still, undisturbed and sleeping, open and forgiving, as though no breath had ever been held between wave and wind. Aurelia rose slowly from the water, feeling the tide cradle her, as though it knew she belonged to this moment as much as it had belonged to every other. She did not rush toward the shore. Instead, she let her body drift where the current carried her, unpressured, unhurried, hovering between what had been and what needed no words. Sunlight struck the sea in fragments of shimmer and warmth. The day breathed gently, and Aurelia's heart found the same ease. Beneath her, the world was quiet. The ruined city below, once full of memory and longing, now lay composed in peace. No pulse raced in its ancient stones. No sound rose from street or plaza. The symphony had ceased, not in sorrow, but in completion. It was finished, not forgotten. She lifted her gaze to the horizon, where the sun made its slow ascent, watching the interplay of light and water dissolve into a tranquil mosaic. How many days had passed since she first heard that low hum rising through the mist and under the tide? It felt both distant and near, like a dream stretched across the bones of memory. She thought of every step beneath the sea, every echo that had whispered into her mind. She thought of the instruments that had sung in fragments and the conductor who had offered trust without hesitation. She carried every moment within her not as weight, but as warmth. The melody, once born of coral and stone, now rested within her chest. It had gathered there like a quiet ember, not flickering or fading, but glowing with gentle assurance. Aurelia felt no ache. There was only release and serenity, a complete harmony that paid tribute to endings without demanding more. Her breathing matched the tide, a steady rhythm unscored by tension, unmarked by fear. The water did not sway or stir. It watched her, accepting her presence with patient dignity, as though it recognized her not as an intruder, but as a visitor who had honored what she had encountered. She slipped from deeper water into shallower waves near the shore. The sand grew firm beneath her feet, cool and familiar, shaped by tireless motion of tide and wind. With each step, she felt the gentle pull of dawn, the promise of light woven into every grain beneath her. The seaside quietly behind her, its chorus softened by distance. And Aurelia turned to face what was now the waking world. Her reflection in the wet sand shifted, not bound to the depths she had visited, but anchored to the land she had always known. The sun continued to climb, brightening the sky, warming the air around her. Gulls called overhead, their voices simple and unburdened. There was a timeless quality here, quiet in its ordinariness, spectacular in its calm. Aurelia moved forward, feeling a soft resolve settle like a ribbon around her heart. She walked along the edge of the water, letting her footsteps mark a path that seemed familiar, yet somehow new. Each footfall felt like a quiet exhale, the release of all that had been carried too long. It was as though the world around her acknowledged the closing of a chapter, not through song or spectacle, but through quiet continuity. The cliffs to her left stood forgiven by the light, their edges softened by morning haze. Green grasses bent toward the sun, unstirred by wind. Flowers that clung to rocky soil shone with dew, their colors gentle and unconcerned. The world did not rush to celebrate her return. It simply welcomed her presence, unafraid of stillness, unafraid of silence. At the crest of the path she knew well, Aurelia paused, pausing not to look back at the sea, but to absorb the horizon in front of her. Town and village lay beyond, familiar roofs and chimneys standing quiet in early light. Smoke had yet to rise from hearths. Doors remained closed. The day was just awakening, tentative and expectant. Aurelia felt at ease, knowing that her footprints in the sand would disappear with the next tide, that the symphony she had completed would remain beneath the waves, where it had been heard and laid to rest. She began her ascent up the narrow trail, her steps quiet and thoughtful. Shadows softened into shape around her, revealing the familiar bends and turns carved into memory. There was no urgency in her pace. Closer to land, the warmth of the sun wrapped around her, brushing back cold. She welcomed it without haste. The shore and its light embraced her like an old friend, welcoming but not demanding explanation. She came upon other early risers fishermen pulling boats ashore, children with sleep in their eyes gathering driftwood for breakfast fires, neighbors greeting one another with measured smiles. None asked questions. None needed to. Aurelia carried no burden of proof. There was nothing to show or demonstrate. Her peace was not a story of spectacle, but of personal reckoning, a resonance she felt in every quiet breath. She wandered through fields of tall grass and wildflowers, their petals tipped with sunlight. The world seemed to thrive in simplicity, unfettered by the symphony's completion, yet somehow enriched by her presence. Here was life ongoing, unaffected by the stillness that lay beneath distant waves. Here was rhythm in ordinary movements and earthy tones that heralded a new day. Aurelia's hand brushed against feathergrass, amber and moving like memory. She smiled, not because she felt joy in a way that chased away sadness, but because she understood fully now that joy and sorrow can coexist without clashing. They become part of a greater cadence, neither erased nor diminished, simply acknowledged as parts of what it means to be alive. The dawn itself carried this truth, gentle yet radiant, humble yet profound. As she reached the edge of the village square, she noticed familiar faces turning toward her. Greetings came in soft nods and warm eyes, not questions, but welcome. Aurelia returned smiles with grace, feeling grounded in a peace that had nothing to prove. The sea's melody was no longer a burden to be carried aloud or hidden beneath her ribs. It was simply part of her story, resident in her step and in the quiet spaces of her mind. She thought of the sunken city, often not with longing or regret, but with a calm reverence. The memory of its streets, its instruments, its conductor without a voice, lived in her as a reminder that some stories do not require retrieval in order to be honored. They require completion. Some endings are not departures, but transformations, becoming part of the texture of life rather than echoes crying out for attention. The villagers greeted her with ordinary warmth, bread being shared, the scent of stew rising from a kitchen, laughter carried like gentle wind. Aurelia joined them, not as one whose tale demanded belief, but as one who carried serenity in her presence. Conversations blossomed around her without pressure, woven into simple exchange. There was humor and kindness, and the sound of every day finding its own rhythm through it all. Aurelia felt a serenity that was not fragile. It was steady and enduring, like the sun guiding her steps at dawn. She did not need to speak of what she had done beneath the waves. The ocean no longer needed to be witnessed by anyone. Its silence was a gift she held within, resting beside her heartbeat rather than pressing against it. When the day made itself fully present, Aurelia walked toward fields where children gathered to play and elders sat with calm eyes, Life unfolded in its pattern, simple, unhurried, and yet exquisitely complete in its ordinariness. She breathed in the harmony of land and life, feeling secure in the balance between memory and presence. The sea would always lie beyond the horizon, whispering only to those who listened with intention. Aurelia had learned to listen long ago, not for answers, but for understanding. She carried that within her now, shaped not by the pull of forgotten songs, but by the peace of endings, honored and stories, remembered without being reclaimed. The last note at dawn did not echo outward anymore. Instead, it resided within her, serene and gentle, a guide to living in calm awareness of what was, what is, and what will be. Aurelia entered the flow of everyday life, but the harmony of release. The world welcomed her footsteps, and she welcomed each new breath, knowing with complete certainty that some stories are meant not to be held apart, but to become part of something endlessly beautiful in its quiet simplicity. And in that knowing, her heart found rest, her spirit found peace, and the dawn rose fully resilient, calm, and free. The final note has faded, and the sea is at peace. The story rests now, just as you can. Thank you for listening to Whispers of the Night. May your sleep be deep and gentle, and may the calm stay with you until morning.